Official Andy Anderson defeated Lehman Smith. As far as the Board of Education is concerned, Pete Gurley defeated I.K. Williamson, Shirley Sims Stewart defeated Sharon Bledsoe, and Thelma Smith defeated Hilda Hicks. For State House, Phil Bedour defeated Lewis Pate, Carolyn Russell defeated Ronald Burrell, and John Sherman Best lost to Jerry Braswell. Senator John Carr retained his Senate seat by defeating Steve Brannon. In other election results, the city's $9.5 million bond referendum passed. State school and highway bonds on the county ballot passed. All 3 constitutional amendments on the local ballot also passed. In the 8th Judicial District Judgeship race, David Brantley defeated Jan Kroboff, and Paul Jones defeated Paul Clevenger. New security systems for school media centers, complete funding of teacher training labs, and new equipment for science labs are all on the way for Wayne County high schools. The price, an estimated $188,000. New books for Charles B. Aycock High School students are also included in the price tag. To cover the expense, the school board has agreed to take out of its $2.7 million reserve account a total of $700,000. After the transfer of funds, $512,000 will be allocated for future school technology improvements. School board member James Parker says he agrees with spending money in this fashion. Adding money in the school's reserve needs to be used wisely or given back to the county commissioners. School Superintendent Dr. Ray Brayboy says spending the money for a better classroom is something the administration fully endorses. No board member expressed opposition for spending money to better the classroom. However, school board member John Phil Grantham said he just heard about plans to spend the money this way, and due to the amount of money involved, he would like more details on the exact expenditures before making a decision. Grantham voted against the $700,000 transfer. According to information released by the Wayne County Board of Elections, there was around a 63% voter turnout at the polls yesterday. The results from yesterday's election will be canvassed this Friday morning at 11. The Wayne County Board of Education has indicated they want school officials to continue research on the development of a Wayne County High School Career Center to help students learn more vocational skills. Local industry representatives recently told the board a college education is a good thing to have, but now in the workplace there is a great need for workers with good vocational skills. AP Parts Representative David Mills said in many cases workers with basic vocational skills such as sheet metal, welding, and other related jobs are making more money than workers that do not have those skills but do have college degrees. Busman Representative Don Magoon indicated to the board that being successful in the marketplace is not just knowing math, it's possessing vocational skills and also knowing how to solve problems and how to get along with people. School fundraisers, are they worthwhile? This is the question that has been raised by many Wayne County parents. Some school board members have indicated parents have complained, saying the way some of these fundraisers are carried out by school coordinators, their expectations and their end results are a joke. Some have indicated their kids, in order to meet expected implied quotas with the hope of winning a silly little prize, have to be out late at night and away from the books, going door to door selling various items. Parents say this is dangerous, not to mention in many cases the prize is not worth the effort put forth. School board member Dr. Rick Stovall at his last official board meeting this week says he feels schools need to look at their individual fundraising campaigns and come up with ways to raise money other than door to door. Stovall says door-to-door sales creates a nuisance, and requiring students to go door-to-door puts them in an unfair and potentially dangerous situation. Stovall adds coordinators should make sure the fundraisers have a great chance of being profitable and worthwhile, and at the same time make sure they are not putting an unreasonable burden on the student, especially when in the end the reward is something like a small prize that really is worth nothing. According to Stovall, many school fundraisers are going on that need to be stopped because they are not worthwhile. I'm Thomas Vick for WGBR News.
Help bring Sanity back to talk radio by calling the Tom Joyner Show weekday afternoons, 3 till 6 on WGBR, where you can hear what everybody's talking about 24 hours a day. If higher education is your goal, you'll have to consider the SAT, NTE, or GRE standardized test for advancement from high school to college, the teaching degree, or graduate school. You can improve your test scores through Academics Plus. Contact Drs. Ken or Marilyn Benton for free consultation to review your needs. Call 735-PLUS. That's 735-7587. Academics Plus, educating for success since 1989.
Griffin Oil Company has a long tradition of service with Phillips 66 petroleum products, and Griffin Oil doesn't stop there. Griffin also gives you fast, efficient delivery with radio dispatch trucks. Griffin Oil Company, supplier of Phillips 66 gasolines, diesel fuel, home heating oil, motor oils, and lubricants. The finest products for the home, farm, and industry are just a phone call away. Call Griffin Oil Company at 735-4911. Griffin Oil Company, distributors of Phillips 66 in Goldsboro and Wayne County.
Well, low-level moisture remains fairly abundant across the area this afternoon in the wake of this morning's fog and low clouds. We'll see quite a bit of sunshine for the afternoon hours, a few clouds mixed in, though, so we'll call it partly cloudy with light winds and highs reaching about 71 to 76. Tonight, variably cloudy skies. Again, some patchy fog possible with lows in the mid to upper 50s, and we'll see more clouds than sun on Thursday with some widely scattered showers or storms possible, most of those after lunchtime. Tomorrow's high about 73 to 78. I'm Mike Moss at the Weather Center.
1150 WGPR.
People, let's get something straight here at the outset. We are not down. We are not depressed. We are extremely up. We are extremely excited. We are powerfully optimistic. And I'm going to give you all the reasons why on today's Excellence in Broadcasting excursion into broadcast excellence hosted by me.
This is a special edition of the Rush Limbaugh program, America, the way it ought to be.
Serious, folks.
And now, from our studios in New York City, here is Rush Limbaugh.
I am serious. Here's our telephone number, 1-800-282-2882. As Mr. Snerdley says, Mr. Clinton is not in his second term a lame duck president. He is a sitting duck president. That's how you must think of him and refer to him in the future. Now, my friends, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the reasons for optimism, and then later, during the course of the program, we will go through them with detail. Here is the brief analysis of last night. Bill Clinton does not get his precious 50%. GOP held both houses of Congress with significant gains in the Senate, both in numbers and ideological makeup. Clinton's failure to get 51% of the vote means that his credibility will be strained when he and others of his administration claim that the people have acquitted him of all scandal-related charges, and then he pardons whoever he is planning on pardoning. They're going to go say that this vote, and Panetta is already saying it. Leon Panetta, who's retiring, said if there was any message that came last night, it is that the American people really rejected those kind of allegations that went nowhere. That's not what happened last night. The American people sent not a unified government, but a divided government. The people said, let's bicker. The people said, let's debate. The people said, let's argue. The people said, let's not have him get away with this. The people said, let's find out what really happened. If we had defeated Bill Clinton, we wouldn't know what really happened because nobody would care. We sent Bill Clinton back so you Republicans can continue to investigate and find out exactly what has gone on in the past 4 years. The American people said, let's argue. Let's debate. The American people said, let's continue to do what made this country great. And so it shall happen. If anybody tries to tell you that the meaning of this election is to stop the arguing, you got to look at them like it's the stupidest thing you have heard in 20 years and ask them to explain how sending Republicans in control of Congress and a Democrat in control of the White House bodes for, can't we all just get along? Make them explain it to you, and then if they do, I want you to call me and tell them what they said. Now the analysis goes on. The AFL-CIO assault on the GOP frosh failed. Most of the Republican freshmen were reelected. 70 of them were up, 10 of them went down. You look at the amount of money spent to destroy these people, and they survived. and triumphed, an incredible feat. The country, therefore, continues to move to the right. Let's talk about the Senate for a second. Actually three key races in the Senate, ladies and gentlemen, last night. First off, Arkansas. This is the first Republican to win the Senate, a Senate seat in Arkansas, since Stephen Dorsey in 1879. He won it handily, 51 to 49% of the vote. The man who won was Tim Hutchison. He is a staunch conservative, ran as a conservative, said he wanted to be a conservative force. He replaces David Pryor, who's a liberal. So not only do you have a party shift, you've got an ideological shift in the Senate, in this seat. Next, we go to Nebraska, where Chuck Nagel, an investment banker. Now, you know what the Democrats think of investment bankers. Rich, evil Republican. Won the seat that was held by James Exxon, and he won the seat 56 to 42% over Ben Nelson. And what did Mr. Hagel, the Republican, campaign on? He campaigned on the 15% tax cut and eliminating the U.S. Department of Education. And look at how he wins, a Democratic seat. This was an ideological race. The lesson here, ladies and gentlemen, is that if the Republicans will just stay on message, just stay on their conservative message, conservatism, when it ran last night, won. And it ran huge. You might say, what about Dick Zimmer? What about Dick Zimmer in New Jersey? Dick Zimmer is not a conservative. Dick Zimmer is a liberal trying to mask himself as a conservative, and he couldn't pull it off, and that's what happened to him. He had to resort to, his campaign was nothing but Torricelli's a liberal, Torricelli's a liberal. In Oregon, it's not fully counted yet. The most recent numbers in Oregon, let me grab them here very quickly. 84% of the vote in, and Gordon Smith is up by 2 points over Tom Bruguiere. It's 49-47 right now, and Gordon Smith has run previously and lost. This is his second go-around, and he also ran on a huge conservative agenda. He wants to balance the budget, cut taxes, reform welfare, get tough on crime, and increase spending on schools. A conservative message, and it's winning, and these three states are key if you want to determine what the lesson of this election is. Arkansas, Nebraska, and perhaps Oregon, when they count, plus the success of the freshmen. The AFL-CIO assault fails big time. Clinton possibly can become a man without a country now. And I'm not going to predict this, but it's possible because his usefulness to the Democratic Party is now really over. His usefulness to them in this election was that he was the lifeboat. He, as the presidential candidate, getting Democratic votes, but he didn't have any coattails. Bill Clinton certainly had no coattails. They didn't get the Senate. They didn't get the House. And this is three elections now where the House and the Senate have increased their numbers of Republicans. And that means a conservative tide continues to sweep this country. No other analysis of this is possible. Now, both parties have dilemmas to face. The Republicans have four factions, maybe three factions, are going to be arguing for supremacy. They're going to be blaming each other for the loss of the White House. And this race for primacy in the Republican Party is going to be a fascinating one to watch. Same thing going on the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, guess what, folks? There aren't the votes to fix welfare reform now. You know that? There are not the votes to fix welfare reform. The welfare state crowd is going to be miffed, a little angry. Clinton has sold out liberalism in adopting conservatism in order to win this race. They know that he will do whatever is in his best interests and everybody else be damned. And so the liberal wing of the party, which has been undersold and bought out, will now attempt to regain itself. There will be competition within the party for the next presidential contender in the year 2000, Al Gore, Gephardt, and whoever else wants to go for this. And it's going to be fun to watch this. The Republican side's got the same battle coming up as it attempts to unify, because there are going to be those who blame everybody else for losing the White House. Now, that's just a basic upshot of what happened. I'm going to have far more details as the program unfolds. I want to tell you some things, though, about the media first, before we go into this detailed analysis. And I think, let me take a break here a little bit earlier than usual. We have some audio, ladies and gentlemen, from last night's closing moments of ABC's election night coverage that if you didn't hear, you must hear, and we have it. It's coming up. Prior to that, I want to talk to you about exit polls. I want to tell you what I was told at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon about this election. I want to tell you what I was told, and I want to tell you how it measures up to the end results. And I want to compare what I was told to the way the networks handled their coverage last night. The networks knew exactly what I knew. They knew more than I did, in fact. I didn't see the documentation. I had it relayed to me on the telephone. The coverage that we got on television last night bore no resemblance to the eventual outcome of events last night, other than at the presidential race. The networks knew it all along. Coverage last night was total sham. We'll take a break and be back after this.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
All right, the election's over, but many questions were left unanswered, and you're going to need me and the Limbaugh letter to sort it all out. For example, do you really think Bill Clinton's bridge to the 21st century is going to be a conservative one? Will liberals stop scaring old people and kids? Who will Clinton pardon first? How many indictments can he rack up? And what about Hillary? Now, don't wait for the media to cover these events, because they won't. They'll have to be dragged kicking and screaming to them. You can get the unfiltered truth about all this with a subscription to the Limbaugh letter. Call 800-457-4141. Order now. I'll give you the first issue free. You get 13 issues, more than 1 year of the Limbaugh letter, and I'm reissuing my famous parody interview with Hillary Clinton. It's a reminder of what our other president stands for. That's 2 great freebies, the Limbaugh letter for just $29.95. You can't pass this up. Now more than ever, you need it. Call 800-457-4141. Call now.
So, you've got 15 minutes to kill. Why not call Geico about car insurance? We let you buy direct, which means the only thing you don't get is a middleman. So, you'll just have to miss out on the pleasures of paying extra to have someone repeat a lot of information you could just as easily have told us yourself. Sorry. Got 15 minutes? You could save 15% or more by calling Geico at 1-800-947-AUTO. That's 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
Police Department, Sergeant John speaking.
Oh, please come quick. They're holding me hostage.
Now, calm down, ma'am. Can you try to describe them?
They're brown, ugly, and have antennas.
Ma'am?
They're roaches.
Roaches? Is that your last name?
That's their only name. They're bugs, for goodness sake.
Well, you don't need the police. You need Griffin Exterminating. They can wipe out any pest problem you've got.
Even a leech?
You've got leeches, too.
Just one.
Ma'am?
My brother-in-law.
For all your pest problems, call Griffin Exterminating. Whether it's termites, fleas, or roaches, Griffin Exterminating is sure to come to the rescue. Call 735-3928. Price sells cars. And at Leith Chrysler, Jeep Eagle, Dodge Isuzu, now's the best time to buy. It's the end of 96 clearance and the introductory of the 97s. Plus, Leith has an overflow of pre-owned cars with over 200 makes and models to choose from. Save now on the sporty utility vehicles like the Jeep and Isuzu, to the Chrysler LHS and Town & Country, to the Dodge Avenger and Eagle Talon, and the affordable Neon. Price sells, and Leith has the numbers to prove it. Leith Chrysler, Jeep Eagle, Dodge Isuzu, Highway 70 West, Goldsboro.
Are you looking for a computer? Well, there are a lot of places to buy from. It all depends if you want this or you want this. Why buy a canary when you can fly with the Eagles? At Exacom Computers, Exacom matches the computer to your needs, and you get free lifetime labor. Exacom Computers, a proud supporter of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, home of the F-15E Strike Eagles. Exacom Computers, Berkeley Boulevard beside Kmart, Goldsboro. WGBR's Local News. Your local news leader. covering the local stories that affect you. WGBR's tradition as the local news source you can depend on continues as Wayne County's only full-time radio newsman, Thomas Vick, brings you reliable local news coverage every weekday, throughout the morning show, throughout the day. Hear it first on 1150 WGBR, your first information source.
Warren Christopher has just resigned as Secretary of State of the United States, the first of what will be a huge exodus. CIA director wants to quit. Louis Freeh probably wants to quit. A number of administration officials want to quit. Nobody wants to be around when it hits the fan, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the first. Stock market's also up 50 points as of 12 noon. What does that mean? I will tell you what it means. It means that the people in the markets, the people on Wall Street, are happy with a Republican Congress. They are happy that the argument and the bickering will continue. They know that the Republican Congress stands for spending cuts. And that's what the market wishes, and that's what they are banking on. If Clinton and the Democrats had won it all, the advice today would have been unload your bonds as fast as you can and head for the tall grass. Stock market up 50. Warren Christopher, the first of many to go. Now, Leon Panetta will be close behind. He is going to go next, and he will probably run for governor of California, so they say. By the way, 209 passed big discrimination proposition out there. Medicinal marijuana passed. And I'll tell you something, folks. One thing you got to know about the California initiative process. California does set trends, and it is with the initiative process that these trends are set. You can look for this Prop 209, the anti-affirmative action, or the end of discrimination, now to sweep the country. And you can look for medicinal marijuana to sweep the country as well now. That's where these trends begin. Not with electoral politics out there, but with the ballot initiative, because that's direct democracy. That is the people voting, people deciding, people determine what's on the ballot, people determining what they're going to vote on. I mean, it's the closest to direct democracy you get. We don't have that, the national scene. The presidential race is the closest thing we ever have to a national referendum on national issues. Now, I have friends scattered throughout the mainstream media. And routinely, every presidential year, I call them up. I say, what's the exit poll data show? The first wave of exit polling data comes in about 11 o'clock. The second wave's at 1. They get a third wave in around 2 or 3. So I call it 4. I say, what's it show? I've been doing this in the last 2 presidential races, 1988, 1992. The exit polling is done by one company, Voter News Services, and it's an amalgam of AP, UPI, ABC, NBC. It's the entire media banding together, in essence, pooling their polling units to come with the exit polling and do about 60,000 interviews in exit polls. 92 and 88, everything I was told at 4 o'clock in the afternoon was borne out in terms of who was going to win the White House and what the makeup of Congress was going to be. Yesterday afternoon at 4 o'clock, here's what I was told. Republicans will gain seats in the Senate. They might lose a few in the House, but will still control it. And the presidential margin of victory will be Clinton at 47 to 48, Dole 42. Now, if I have that information, everybody that you watched comment on this stuff last night on television had that information. One of the interesting things that happened last night was the calling of the Bob Smith race up in New Hampshire. The exit polling data clearly showed Smith was in. The early returns contradicted the exit polling. The media, so eager for Republican upsets last night, all jumped on the Smith is lost bandwagon. The exit polling data did not suggest he was going to lose. They jumped on it. They all had to do mea culpas about 9:30. Cokie Roberts on ABC was smiling as she talked about all these freshmen that are starting to go down. Quote, unquote. The freshmen, now Peter, are starting to, as though we've been waiting for 2 years for this night, Peter, and here it is. The freshmen are starting to go down. My point to you is, and I went to an election party last night, and these people didn't have this data, and they're watching the returns, and they're scared to death. The returns early on makes it look like we're losing everything. Oh, it's horrible. And I say, no. Let me tell you the exit poll data. Clinton 47-48, Dole 42, gain a couple seats in the Senate, lose some in the House, but hold on to Congress. Rush, it's not shaking down that way. You wait, it will. My point to you is, ladies and gentlemen, that everything the exit polling data showed now for the third year in a row turned out to be true. Now, I don't have data on individual races. I didn't ask for that. It was available. I just didn't have time to collect it all. But when you added it all up, and that's the people I talked to added it all up, and they gave me the bottom line, which I just told you about. Everybody at ABC, everybody at CBS, everybody at Fox, everybody at CNN, everybody at whatever was doing coverage last night knew what I knew and more at 4 o'clock. And you saw the coverage. You saw them holding out hope that the freshmen would continue to lose. Now, you might say, Rush, of course, they're waiting for the actual vote count to come in. No, in all cases, they didn't wait for the vote count to come in. How many of you saw them project a winner with 0% of the precincts reporting? What do you think they're going on? They're going on the exit polls, folks. They're going on the exit polls when they do. When the polls close at 7 o'clock and they announce a state, and nobody's counted one single vote yet, they're counting on the exit polls. The exit polls they liked, they reported. The exit polls they didn't like, they waited on, hoping and praying they would be wrong. The exit poll data for the third presidential race in a row has told to me maybe Clinton's at 49%, so it's off by 1 point. Yet the reporters and the networks last night were going out of their way, holding out all sorts of hope. I tuned into the West Coast feed last night at 11 o'clock. I tuned into the West Coast feed, KNBC, affiliate out there, trying to get a read on some of the ballot propositions. Plus, at 11 o'clock, Dole and Clinton were making their speeches, and I wanted to find out how California went. Nobody was speculating California. Close, don't close there till 11 o'clock Eastern. Polls close, 11 o'clock, Clinton wins. And then they say that Prop 209 is too close to call. The exit polling data was right on the money with Prop 209. It's not even close on 209. It never was close on 209 yesterday. And yet, for the first half hour, 45 minutes on the left coast last night, it's too close to call Prop 209. It was never close. They were holding out hope. Now, why does this stuff matter? Well, I'll tell you why it matters. Because when they tell you that there's a surprise in New Hampshire, that Bob Smith is going down, it looks like a Democratic rout tonight. And the polls are still open in the Eastern time zone, or the Central time zone, the Mountain time zone, and the Western time zone. They created an image which they know isn't true, that there is going to be this massive sweep. Cokie Roberts, even at 10:30, 11 o'clock. Peter, it's looking like that there are a lot of these freshmen and a lot of these Republicans still in open races in the West and Mountain time zones, and they've lost so many seats already, it's conceivable the Democrats could take it back. And she had the exit poll data in front of her and knew that that wasn't the case. Now, again, I will allow, you will say, Rush, why shouldn't they wait for actual vote counts instead of counting the exit polls? We don't like polls anyway. All I'm telling you is they selectively use the poll they want. And they're holding out hope. And they are doing coverage last night that does, and I don't, singling out ABC, I mean, they were all doing it. I switched back and forth. When I first saw the Bob Smith mea couple with Dan Rather, and I said, oh, here it goes. Dan Rather had to remove the check mark from behind Bob, or beside Bob Smith's name, and said, you know, we were a little bit premature. We're not saying that Bob Smith has won. We're not saying that Dick Sweat has lost. Dick Sweat still holds a narrow lead, but now CBS News has determined that this race is too close to call. I said, quick, switch to NBC. Bam, 5 seconds later, here comes the same thing. Next, okay, ABC, here comes the same thing within a period of a half hour. And my point is that they jumped the gun on it because they saw an end result that they were ecstatic about. Here's another thing. Quick couple of observations. How many of you saw members of the press corps last night interviewing Republicans who were victorious in the Senate? Or maybe you saw an interview of Trent Lott and the obligatory question, so are you guys going to now get serious about governing for once? Or are you going to continue this needless, wasteful investigation of Bill Clinton? just once, I wish some Republican would have said, you know, if you guys would do your jobs, we wouldn't have to spend as much time on this. If you guys were half as curious as we are, if you guys in the press were as eager as we are to find out what really went on with some of these things, but we're going to do our job, and we're going to, if it requires continuing investigations, then that's what we're going to do. And don't forget, my analysis of the vote, the American people want the investigations to continue. The American people want a divided government. The American people want debate and argument. The American people want there to be bickering. The American people want the traditions of this country to continue. You've heard me talking about carbon monoxide and how dangerous that is. Well, you need to get a carbon monoxide detector, but all detectors are not the same. When you buy a CO detector for your home, insist on these features. A digital readout that shows CO levels from 0 to 999. Make it long-lasting. Nighthawks last over 5 years. Electric powered, make sure it's that, and it needs to be UL listed. There is only one detector that meets all these requirements. It's Nighthawk. Don't settle for anything less. I didn't. Buy a Nighthawk CO detector and do it today.
This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
For WGBR News, I'm Thomas Vick. The new team of Wayne County Commissioner candidates, with the exception of Andy Anderson, were not successful in getting into office after yesterday's unofficial election numbers were tallied. Betty Jones lost to Jimmy Ford, Dorothy Hardy lost to John Wooten, John Tart was victorious over Efton Sager, Ed Wharton lost to DJ Pelt, and Irvin Watts lost to Hardy Sullivan. Andy Anderson defeated Lehman Smith. As far as the Board of Education is concerned, Pete Gurley defeated I.K. Williamson, Shirley Sims Stewart defeated Sharon Bledsoe, and Thelma Smith defeated Hilda Hicks. For State House, Phil Bedour defeated Lewis Pate, Carolyn Russell defeated Ronald Burrell, and John Sherman Best lost to Jerry Braswell. Senator John Carr retained his Senate seat by defeating Steve Brennan. In other election results, the city's $9.5 million bond referendum passed. State, school, and highway bonds on the county ballot passed. All three constitutional amendments on the local ballot also passed. In the 8th Judicial District judgeship race, David Brantley defeated Jan Krumoff, and Paul Jones defeated Paul Clevenger. The Wayne County Board of Education has indicated they want school officials to continue research on the development of a Wayne County High School Career Center to help students learn more vocational skills. Local industry representatives recently told the board a college education is a good thing to have, but now in the workplace there's a great need for workers with good vocational skills. AP Parts Representative David Mell said in many cases workers with basic vocational skills such as sheet metaling, welding, and other related jobs are making more money than workers that do not have those skills but do have college degrees. Busman Representative Don Magoon indicated to the board that being successful in the marketplace is not just knowing math, it's possessing vocational skills and also knowing how to solve problems and how to get along with people. Wayne County Social Service officials announced yesterday Wayne County has 134 children in foster care, and adoption is the permanency plan for 33 of these children, but only 9 are legally free and available for placement. November is observed as National Adoption Awareness Month throughout the country, and Goldsboro City Mayor Hal Plunk has signed a proclamation asking that all citizens show support by wearing a white ribbon or placing a white ribbon on their homes, churches, schools, and businesses. Wayne County Social Service Director Gwendella Wilson says anyone interested in the adoption process should feel free to obtain information from the Wayne County Social Service Department. I'm Thomas Vick for WGBR News.
Well, we had quite a bit of low cloudiness and fog across the area earlier today. That's broken up for the most part now, and we'll call it partly cloudy for the afternoon. Should be fairly mild out with a light southeasterly wind and highs running about 71 to 76 degrees. Tonight, we'll call it variably cloudy again, so could see some areas of fog form up with lows in the mid to upper 50s. And we'll see quite a bit of cloud cover on Thursday with some widely scattered showers or storms possible, most of those coming during the afternoon or evening. Tomorrow's high 73 to 78. I'm Mike Moss at the Weather Center.
We're back. Rush Limbaugh, the Excellence in Broadcasting Network. By the way, we're back to our usual partisan presentation today after our special non-partisan presentation of yesterday in deference to federal regulations. Our next segment could be entitled, Is Peter Jennings Good for America? Last night, ladies and gentlemen, at the close of ABC's election night coverage, some incredible things happened, and I know a number of you saw it because my mailbox is filled with people responding to it. And it all involves David Brinkley, and this is his last election night, and they're paying tribute to him and letting him say a few things as well. There was a time, this is all around 1 o'clock Eastern, there was a time when it all started that Mr. Brinkley was not aware that the team was on the air, not aware that they'd come back out of a commercial break. This is how it went.
Well, why don't we let Jeff Greenfield have a go at it first?
No, let me have a go at it.
Go ahead, David.
I wish to say that we all look forward with great pleasure to 4 years of wonderful, inspiring speeches, full of wit, poetry, music, love, and affection. Plus more goddamn nonsense than the other is that...
You can't say that on the air, Mr. Brinkley.
Well, I'm not on the air. I was amused to have to read that Ross
David, let me just go in the shape. We are on the air. I just want you to make sure you know. Okay, fine.
Too bad. It's too bad. What are they going to do to me now? So there he was commenting, and that came after Clinton's acceptance speech, and Brinkley said later that he could have made that speech in 5 minutes. You know, why go on with this nonsense, as he said. The next is, what's so funny, you guys? What are you... The next is my friends, they're all patting Brinkley on the back, and it's now his turn to pat them on the back, and he tells them, knowing now they're on the air, what he admired about his colleagues at ABC during these many years he's worked with them.
Among things I admire all the most near the top is creativeness, and everyone in this group has it. It shows in your work, it shows in your thinking, and it shows in your speech. What you do, what you write, what you say. And it's one reason this group is so terrific. Bill Clinton has none of it. He has not a creative bone in his body. Therefore, he is a bore and will always be a bore.
Strong letter to follow, David.
David, thank you very much for everything.
Yes, let's go to a break now. Thank you, Mr. Brinkley. Why, you know, you get the honesty here. They don't think they're on the air. You get. Now, one final thing, ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the phones. They decide they better get out of this fast. And so Jennings decides to start thanking the tech people that you never see. And in particular, he wants to thank somebody who's off camera. Now, at the time this begins, listen carefully to Brinkley, because Brinkley will say things at the same time others are speaking. And you've got to turn your radios up here to hear this. And the whole time here is 28 seconds on this little clip, so it's near the end, but we need to play a little bit in front of it to put it in context. But listen to Brinkley as Jennings is signing off. Here we go.
For me, we have an enormous technical and editorial staff who supports us. You can see some of them in the room, and they're in every corner of the building. In fact, they're in every corner of the country tonight. Our technical staff, particularly, I want to offer special thanks to Bob Roy, but most of all to Nancy Gabriner, who's down here in the pit below us, David, and without whom some days I think we wouldn't know what to think. Thank you for joining us, as some of you have, perhaps for a lengthy period.
There you have it. When Jennings said, without us, I don't think we wouldn't know what to think, that's when Brinkley said, you wouldn't get on the air. You didn't hear that one, did you, Mr. Snerdley? Or did you hear that as it happened last night? So that's these things happen in live television, goes the cliche. He's always going to be a bore. He's always going to be a bore. He doesn't have a creative bone in his body. It's true. It's all true. Let's grab a phone call here. Cellular from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Dean, hello. I'm glad you waited. Welcome to the program, sir.
Hi, Rush. I just wanted to thank you for taking my call. Very partisan dittos. I think you do an absolutely fantastic job.
Thank you very much, sir.
I also wanted...
Was he on a cellular? He was. We lost the cellular connection. We don't know what he was going to say. Perhaps interference. Yes. We did get the most important part in, and that is his comment about me. Does ABC run some satellite communication services that might interact with telephone? Folks, I tell you got to smile about this stuff. There's all sorts of reasons to be optimistic here. I've just treated you to a few more. Will be coming down the pike. Another cellular call. Chip in Morristown, New Jersey. Welcome to the program.
Hello, Rush. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Greetings from the newly declared Socialist Republic of New Jersey.
Well, sir, nice to have you from across the river.
Did you catch John Chancellor last night baiting Bob Dole about...
John Chancellor has passed away.
Excuse me. It wasn't John...
going?
I'm sorry, it wasn't John Chancellor. It was on CBS. I forgot the report.
Oh, I'm talking about Bob Schieffer?
It was probably, I can't remember
It really doesn't matter. It's 6 of one, half dozen of another. Just what happened?
The point was, they were baiting Bob Dole in whether or not he would accept Clinton's offer of fixing Medicare and Medicaid.
Yeah.
And they, as you said, they knew what the results were going to be. And his comment was, will he accept it graciously, or will he be the bitter old man and not accept it? And therefore,
what time did this happen? I must confess, CBS. I never. What time was it?
It was about 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, and they were talking to Dole, or they were just speculating?
No, they were
themselves?
talking about Dole, whether or not.
Dole called this show the other day. It's probably why he lost, according to some people who listen to this show. No, Dole called this program, and I asked him. I said, "Would you accept that there's rumor going around? Clinton's going to ask you to head up the bipartisan commission to save Medicare. Will you accept it?" He said, "No."
Well, my point is, I hope the Republicans at this point, since they've been bashed about the quote-unquote cuts in Medicare and Medicaid, I hope they sit back now and let the Democrats show their hand. And it will be a revelation to all those seniors in Arizona and Florida and all over the country that thought that we were the bad ones. Mm-hmm. Now they're going to see who really are the people who are going to have to cut.
If that's what you want, and basically if you want the Medicare program to blow apart, I'm all for it. But no. My name is Rush Brinkley. Here, let me talk about that. Because there is a strategy here. What should the Republicans do? What are they going to do? Okay, they're still the majority, but are they burned? Look, every legislative idea they introduced was met with a television campaign. Now, think about this. Every legislative proposal, starting with a contract, was met with a television campaign. They were labeled extremists, child starvers, air and water polluters, and education gutters. That's what they were labeled. Now, we're going to have to do one of two things. They're going to have to decide, all right, we're going to be proactive. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to come up with our agenda. But first, we're going to market test it. We're going to go out there, come up with our idea, test it before we announce it. And then we may not even announce it. We may just do it. We're not going to make the mistake of saying, hey, guess what we're going to do? They're just going to do it. Most marketing plans are never pre-announced. They're just executed. Or the Republicans could do what Chip here from the People's Republic of New Jersey has suggested. And that is sit around as the majority and do nothing. Because they know the Democrats are going to be sitting around waiting for the next wave of legislation from the Republicans. So the Democrats can attack it as a cut, as a starvation, as a murder, as an extreme beat of legislation. So they can sit around and do nothing and wait for the Democrats to announce an agenda. What would the Democrats do? What would the Gephardts and the Dashiells do? If the Republicans sit there and don't offer any agenda, they got to do a budget, but if they don't offer any agenda, what do they do? Do they sit there and say, this is the biggest do-nothing Congress? Are we going to have a Congress where either party, both parties, are afraid to make the first move for fear of what the other party will do in response? And if both parties are afraid to aggressively announce an agenda, is that not nirvana? Is that not? The only problem with that is that you cede the agenda to Clinton. If you sit around and wait for the Democrats in the House to do an agenda and they don't come up with one, and if you don't come up with one, you're waiting because you don't want to get burned, there's old Schlichtmeister over there saying, well, hey, I'll weigh in. I think we ought to fix Medicare. I think we ought to fix welfare. And if he does that, if he comes in and the first thing he floats is his fix to welfare reform, guess what happens, folks? Guess who's on the wrong side of compassion again? The Republicans. I think they have to be aggressive. And I think that they can look at the pockets of this country where conservatism triumphed in elections and get it through their thick heads that conservatism is what got them there and conservatism is what will keep them there. The country has moved to the right. Don't be frightened. Don't be bashful. And you don't have to be mean or anything else. And you don't have to be confrontational or intimidating. And you don't even have to announce what you're going to do. Just do it. Just announce the Omnibus Budget Act of 1996. And if that means tearing down something or building something, then do it. But don't announce what it is. Certainly don't make yourself a target. But whichever strategy is employed will be fascinating to watch. I think the tendency to say here is that they're going to be gun shy. Because they're tired of being called extremists. They're tired of being called this. They're tired of being called that. Now, they might also look at the election return and say it didn't hurt us. Freshmen, 10 out of 70 lose. That happened no matter what. You'd expect with the money that the labor union spent, all the freshmen would have gone down. But they didn't. So maybe they get the message. I intend to keep pounding the message here. The message is conservatism sells. Conservatism is what will gain them ground. Not trepidation, not fear, not trying to be liked by the press, not trying to be liked by Gephardt and Daschle. Quick break. Back with more in a moment. Stay with us, my good friend.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Folks, if you own a business, you're always looking for faster, easier, better ways to serve your customers and increase sales opportunities, right? Well, there is a software program that can help you do all that and more. Business Plus from CashGraph. It includes everything you need to run a business. Full accounting, inventory, word processing, contact management, day planning, and reports. And what really makes Business Plus so special is that it does everything in one program, so you only enter data one time. You also have immediate access to any information you need about any aspect of your business or any customer. Right now, Business Plus even includes a $50 rebate. I've seen Business Plus work, my friends. You'll be as impressed as I am.
For a limited time only, you can get a $50 rebate on Business Plus from CashGraph. Look for specially marked business packaging at Egghead and other fine retailers. And be sure to look for other CashGraph software on Gateway 2000 Generations computers. Or call 1-800-872-4381. That's 800-872-4381.
Good day, Mr. Phelps. This is a photograph of James Finch Chevrolet. Notice the trunk department. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take your team to the truck department at James Finch Chevrolet. You'll see all the new Chevrolet trucks. Test drive them. The new S10s, the pickups, the Astrovans, the Blazers, the Suburbans, all of them. There's a reason, Jim, why more people are buying new trucks from James Finch Chevrolet, and we must find out why. We know they have a